You guys, the documents have been just coming out, and there has been even more information that has been released. Before we get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere, in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all have had a wonderful week. I hope everybody's getting geared up for a nice weekend. You're going to do something nice. It's spring. I don't know about the weather where y'all are at, but when I wake up in the mornings here, and I wake up early, it's like 30 degrees, but by noon, it's 80 degrees. So we're in that weird transitional phase here in Florida. So I hope y'all have some good plans this weekend. So we are back today, and I was not expecting this. Before we get into all the stuff, this new judge that Kohberger has over the Idaho 4 case, I bet you that Ann Taylor and the defense is like, why did we move? Y'all remember they had been arguing to move from judge and that district there in Idaho, saying that it was going to be unfair and Well, that judge was really catering to the defense. I mean, catering. Now they've moved, and this judge is, in my opinion, just black and white, fair. Like, okay, moving it on. And when he said that all these documents do not need to be sealed, he meant it, because the documents keep on rolling out, and we are going to go over some of the new information that I've learned today. Before we get into it, though, I did want to let you guys know, if you don't already know, hi, my name is Christina. I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. I do things more casually over there, and there's new content out, you guys, all kinds of stuff. What I Eat in a Days is coming, property tours, all that type of stuff. If you're interested in that type of like chill vibe away from this type of thing, check out my second channel, Casually Christina. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon's for 18 and up. And over there, we talk about more personal stuff. We go live over there. There's a $2 tier for all the true crime stuff that cannot go onto YouTube due to their terms and policies. That goes over on my Patreon under the $2 tier. Just make sure you read the full about section, what each tier offers before you join. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Like to Know It. And Like to Know It is a platform where you can find links to a lot of things that I love, that I like, that y'all ask about, that I use. Everything from workout gear. This top is linked over there. These earrings, makeup. I just posted a new video with I use different ones, but one of my favorite like skin tints. All that stuff I post over on my Like to Know It. And all of those platforms are linked down in the description box if you would like to come and check me out. Before we go any further, I did want to stop and thank today's sponsor, Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutrition goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your front door. With Factor's team of gourmet chefs, they create each meal only using ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. And you can skip the takeout trap because Factor is cheaper and more delicious. And these ready-made meals are ready in just 2 minutes to 3 minutes in the microwave. And that means that you have more time to do the things that you want to do. You can choose from a weekly menu of 35 different options, including popular options like Calorie Smart, Keto, Protein Plus, Vegan Veggie, and so much more. And Factor also has 60 different add-ons every week that you can add to your meals, like lunch on the go, breakfast items, and different drinks, protein shakes that will help you feel your best all day long. Me personally, I love the surf and turf, and so does my family. It is such a good treat, and I will use the surf and turfs for dinner instead of just my lunches, and they are so good and so nutritious. If you want to try Factor, all you got to do is go to factor75.com and use my code 50 Christina Randall, and you can get 50% off of your first Factor box plus free shipping today. Yes, all you got to do is go to factor75.com, use my code 50 Christina Randall, and you can save today. Thanks again, Factor. So, okay, as we are getting closer to this trial and more of these documents are being dropped and unsealed, we are finally getting more information than we ever have in the past 2+ years, because y'all know we're working on 3 years at this point. So we're going to talk about more of the psychiatric diagnosis that the defense has claimed that Bryan has, The defense's objections to immediate family members in the courtroom during the trial. Can you imagine? Yes. Exactly where the white Elantra was seen around King Road, and also stuff about Bryan's Amazon history and more information about them daggone bushy eyebrows that we've been talking about, including a picture that Bryan took just after the incident happened. So let's talk about it. It's a good spot to let y'all know I'm not a professional. I pull all of my information from very public sources that are already out there, news sources, the documents that the court released, put them through my own words and opinions. Everything's alleged. Go do your own research and form your own opinions. And if you're not all caught up, I have a playlist. Go get caught up. You're going to want to be caught up. So in my previous videos, we talked about how the defense claimed that Bryan has been diagnosed with autism. Well, now they're claiming, along with autism, that Bryan also has OCD and developmental coordination disorder, okay? The defense believes that the minute jury selection begins, that jurors will begin to study and analyze Bryan's physical appearance. They think that they will watch his every move and pass judgment on him every minute of the trial, simply based on how he looks and reacts to the presentation of certain evidence and comments about him. Well, because of this, the defense wants to be able to present testimony to the jury that shows that Bryan has certain physical disorders. They do state that they won't be presenting evidence for the purpose of showing whether Bryan knew right from wrong, like you'd see in an insanity plea, because they say that Bryan has always asserted his actual innocence. However, they want the jury to understand why Bryan may look or act a certain way in the courtroom, which in one aspect, okay, but they also plan to use these diagnoses about the state of mind and as a factual defense to testimony the state plans to present. For example, y'all, and buckle up, buttercup, because I knew it was coming. The defense says that Bryan does not show emotions on his face and that he sits very still and he holds his hands in the same position. He has a piercing stare and he doesn't show expected reactions, his facial reactions, and they don't reflect what he's actually feeling, and that he's like really stiff, and that he uses these repetitive phrases and large words, okay? Which is fair if all of these things are true. Now, if all of these things are true, I'm pretty sure that the people that were in his classroom, that he was a TA, are going to say the same things. Now, I don't know if y'all remember, I've got interviews in my older videos because we've been covering this since 2022. People that were his students, females and males, I haven't heard any of them say that. Maybe they did in interviews. Bryan better hope that they did in interviews, because there are so many people that are called as witnesses, and this isn't something that he just developed while he was in jail. If he didn't, okay, we understand. Let the jury know. They're smart. It's a jury of your peers. They're going to know. But the defense says because of Bryan's OCD that he has difficulty sleeping, and this is why he started driving around at night and going for runs. They say that he also engages in frequent compulsive hand washing, and he wears gloves to avoid germs, and that he has a fear of getting things into his eyes, and he changes his shower curtain frequently to avoid mold growth, and that he avoids anything that he views as contamination, which I bet he's having a jolly old time in jail if that's true. But it's a very interesting diagnosis all of a sudden, okay? As an example, the defense uses the fact that the state claims, y'all know the prosecution says, that Bryan was wearing gloves on the night of his arrest and placing his stuff in trash baggies and taking it to the neighbor's trash cans at 3 o'clock in the morning dressed in all black, which they believe shows that he is consciousness of his guilt, and that he was trying to hide his DNA or engage in the cleaning of his car. Because remember, soon as he got there, he began to clean his car. And mind you, this was far after the incident happened. I believe 2 months after the incident happened at the Idaho home. If this is true, by the way, if he has this disorder, or maybe he just likes a really clean car, I'm really curious for the people that keep saying there was no DNA in his car. Well, he's a compulsive cleaner. So which way y'all want to go with this? Like, put me in, boss. Like, I want to be on a sidebar here, because everything I feel like the defense is trying to do to prove that he's not is just it goes either way here. But the defense also claims that Bryan frequently wears gloves to avoid germs on surfaces. They say that he wasn't cleaning his car that night. They say that he was actually awake that night, which is typical for him, and that he was just cleaning his bathroom in the middle of the night after he just arrived to his parents' house. Now, let me just stop for a second and say, if y'all remember, for those of y'all that have been watching these videos that I've been putting out, in one of my older videos, you can go back and look and find it, I said at some point, I wonder if the defense is later going to claim that Bryan was wearing gloves because he was afraid of germs or he's OCD or something. I literally said that, because what other excuse would you have for being caught in the middle of the night at 3 o'clock in the morning wearing gloves, putting your trash in the neighbor's trash can? There's no other explanation for that than to say that you're a germaphobe and you have something. So the fact that that's actually what was said is kind of like, okay, that's the only excuse. Now, maybe it ain't. He's innocent until proven guilty. I don't know. But, I mean, I literally called that a year or two ago. So it's a pretty big coinky-dink in my own view here. And I do want to add in here, again, all alleged, I don't know these people, but when Bryan was arrested and all these people that knew him as friends, the ones who said that he used to be an addict, and even the one female who Bryan lied to her and got her to drive him to pick up you-know-what in the you-know-what type of area in the middle of the night so he could get his you-know-what, and allegedly he was an IV user.
He did use drugs. That's how I really know him, too. He was a big heroin addict, and so was I. I got 6 years clean now. I work in treatment and everything, but back then I was using, and so that's how I know for a fact he was using. I've got high with him a couple times and used with him. And
this is when he nonchalantly decided to make me drive him around the Poconos for heroin, and I had no idea. I thought I was just doing a nice deed because he needed something, and it turns out that he was getting heroin.
I mean, is he a germaphobe and an IV user and a drug dealer? I mean, the puzzle pieces ain't fitting together. I'm very curious what the teacher's going to say, what the other students are going to say. I mean, was he grading papers and wearing gloves because papers are nasty? I don't know. I have questions about it, because it seems like not only does it seem like a convenient excuse, and it may not be an excuse, but it seems like it seems like the only excuse that would make sense for him to get caught doing what he was doing. But that knife sheath that had nothing else on it, it was clean, y'all. I don't know. But as for the defense's claim that Bryan has a developmental coordination disorder, they also say that Bryan suffers from defects in his fine motor dexterity and visual motor function, which I also find funny, because allegedly Bryan was a runner. He was also a criminology major, and he was a teacher's assistant grading papers. Like, y'all gonna have to make that connection for me, because I'm not seeing it. These documents say that the state plans to present a test run that they did at Kings Road to prove that it is possible to commit these 4 crimes in the time frame that the crime was committed by one person. But the defense believes that it will be relevant for the jury to know that such speed and coordination are not possible for Bryan himself. I'm ready to see that, because again, the runner, the this and that, I got questions. Now, let's talk about the evidence that the state has about the white Elantra. You remember when it happened? The photos were everywhere. White Elantra, white Elantra, white Elantra, white Elantra. We know most of this information already, but in the state's new filing, the ones that have been released, they included these graphics right here to show where Bryan's car was seen on surveillance footage before the crimes happened, near the crime scene, and the path that they believe Bryan's car took to the crime scene. Now, before I pop up these photos, I want y'all to know that for the longest time, we knew that they had his cell phone pinging off the towers until he turned his cell phone off for those 2 hours, right? What a coinky-dink. But what we did not know is that they actually have him on surveillance footage, because I've seen all over where people are saying, well, just because his phone pinged off the towers, it could have been anywhere in a 1 mile radius or whatever. And I'm still going like, that's a lot of coinky dinks, man. That is a lot of coinky dinks. But now we know that they don't just have his cell phone pinging off the towers, including the 2 hours that he cut his cell phone off or put it on airplane mode, but they actually have him on surveillance footage. So let me pop up this picture right here. So as y'all can see, all of these cameras allegedly have his car spotted on them. And if you look over to where it's red, it says crime scene. That is where the home is. So you can see all of these spots all around that time of the morning. And again, these are alleged surveillance footage, Ring doorbells, cameras people have on their homes. This is not just cell phone towers. This is camera footage. And here's a photo here of what they believe the path was that he took to get to the Kings Road home. So if Bryan is the guy, and if this was really his car, and he's out stargazing in the neighborhood of the crime scene possibly, I mean, he was stalking them. He was stalking them. And let's keep going here, because it doesn't end there. We're going to talk about these daggum bushy eyebrows again, and I'm not letting this go, y'all, okay? We've talked about DM, one of the surviving roommates, claiming that the person that she saw in the house that night had bushy eyebrows in her interviews with the investigators before, okay? But in this new filing, not only do we get more quotes from DM's interviews, but there's also a picture of Bryan from the morning after the incident that the state plans to show during the trial. Now, I'm going to pop up some screenshots of the filing to show y'all what all DM said to the investigators, but something that I find very interesting is the fact that she says multiple times that it did not seem like the person was wearing a typical ski mask. To me, the way I'm reading it is like she made it seem like the person that was wearing this mask could have made it. She could see more of the face than just the round cutout for the eyes and the mouth. To me, she makes it sound like this mask was not shaped uniformly, I guess that's the way you say it, as one you would buy from the store, like he made the mask himself. And boy, I find that interesting, because here's a picture right here of BTK. And he wore all kinds of funky-dunky self-made masks. And we know that Bryan was studying him and all, oh my gosh, it's so bizarre. A lot of coinky dinks here, you guys. And it makes me wonder if Bryan maybe made his mask himself too. So we've seen Bryan in court, right? We've seen him since he got arrested and all of that jazz. However, the morning after the incident happened, Bryan took a selfie of himself. Now remember what DM said the person had bushy eyebrows? This is literally the morning that the police showed up there and everybody found out. Look at this photo, y'all. I mean, y'all, there's a lot of coinky dinks here. I mean, just a lot. It's so giving. If it walks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, baby, it is a duck. I don't know if y'all remember this, but some of the students that went to the college that he was a teacher's assistant at, okay, said that after the crime happened, they noticed he became more animated, more excited. And when I see this photo, that's the vibe that I get. They said before he was grouchy, they felt like he was rude, he was very strict. But some of the students said that after the crime happened, boy, he started giving everybody good grades. He was all happy. And when I see this photo here, I see somebody happy that morning.
I did notice that he was showing up to class a little late sometimes. He always had a coffee in hand. He always seemed to be just perpetually exhausted. And like everybody in a graduate program, there's a little bit of awkwardness. You're trying to fit in. You're trying to find your niche. And Bryan Kohberger fit that. He was awkward. He was trying to fit in. He was trying to get his inroad into this group and establish these social bonds with other members of the cohort. But now looking back in hindsight, having these allegations come almost entirely out of left field, all of that feels less like normal trying to fit in, and it just feels unsettling.
The state also plans to show a picture of his driver's license at the time too, and I'll just pop that up quick. Now let's talk about this Amazon history. This is just what's being released, you guys, okay? The state is also planning on presenting Bryan's Amazon click activity evidence at the trial. They claim that it shows that Bryan purchased, guess what? A K-bar knife with a sheath and a sharpener from Amazon before the incident happened at the Kings Road house. And it also says that Bryan searched for a knife with a sheath after this situation that happened with the 4 students. I also found this little footnote right here very interesting, which in my unprofessional opinion makes it sound like Bryan is saying, listen, I get on Amazon and it suggests things to me. And I just, I'm clicking and looking at things that suggest to me. I mean, again, you guys, another coinky dink. He just happened to, Amazon suggested it to him. I mean, Amazon suggests a lot of things to me. I mean, all kind of things. I don't need a vest that warms itself when you press a button on it. But it does not suggest a K-bar knife with a sheath, and then that sheath just happens to be found at a crime scene, and it just happens to have my touch DNA on it, and I just happen to be on surveillance footage around the home, and I just happen to have a germ disorder where I'm in the middle of the night dressed in all black. You guys, come on, for real. The last thing I want to talk to y'all about is the defense's response and objection to the state's motion regarding immediate family members in the courtroom. And I'm not surprised by it because, again, this is another situation where I feel like everything's being thrown at the wall to see what sticks. The state has asked the judge to allow the immediate family members to be allowed in the courtroom during the trial, which I would say is an extremely fair request, right? The family members that want to be there and watch the trial should be there, front row. Their opinions may be changed during the trial. All of our opinions may be changed. We need to see it. We need to see what the defense really says, okay? However, the defense has objected to this, stating that the guidance is too narrow and that they believe that the guidance should be broadened to address issues like who exactly qualifies as immediate family member, okay? If your mama and your daddy want to sit in there, well, we need to discuss this. Do they actually qualify? I don't know. But what I found interesting is that the state makes a second request in this filing asking that the judge outline proper courtroom attire, okay? They ask that spectators, people that are sitting in the courtroom watching the trial, not be allowed to wear t-shirts with pictures of the victims on them and words in memory of, or t-shirts about shooting Bryan in a passage of like the new firing squad thing, which I think that part makes sense. No, people should not be allowed to wear shirts into the trial during this time that say, I'm pro firing squad. Like, let's leave that shirt at home for right now. Wear that to Walmart, but not during the trial. However, they can't wear shirts in loving memory of the Idaho 4 with their names on them. Why not? Just defend him. Just prove what he was doing, where he was at, and why he's not the guy. All these mental gymnastics of how to set the tone so you can... It's bonkers to me. They also ask that don't wear any buttons or any apparel with words, photos, or artwork that can be observed by the jury since they believe such conduct poses a coercive threat to the jury's ability to remain impartial. The way I see that is an example of something, a shirt that says, I love Jesus, that might connect with a jury member, or something that says, I don't love whatever, that might connect. So these are just such unique requests to me. As I continued to read, it says that apparently during a hearing back in Latah County, a family member of Kaylee's, I got an idea of who I think it probably was, wore a t-shirt to court related to the passage of the Idaho's firing squad legislation. The filing says it said, Justice for Kaylee, Idaho House Bill 186, shots fired. I mean, it didn't say Bryan should be this. It's just saying that they are in support of it. And we all know they're in support of it because from the very beginning of this, the prosecution went to the families and asked them what they wanted to do. The prosecution, the DA, this guy right here with the beard, Pawpaw on a motorcycle, came out and said that he went to the families and asked them what they wanted. And this is what they wanted to go for. So Should he wear that in trial? No, I agree. But I don't think it's wrong that they wore it. And it's also freedom of speech. Wear your t-shirts, but maybe not that one in trial. But in loving memory, come on, you guys, they can wear in loving memory. Also interesting, a third request was made in this motion, and the defense is asking that Bryan's mother, father, and 2 sisters be considered immediate family members and be allowed in the courtroom, which I think is a good request, and it'll be very interesting to see if they show up for him, since we have not heard a word from them or anyone else for that matter that is in support of Bryan. So what do y'all think? Listen, once again, I am so open to watching the trial and being like, they got it wrong. Wow, all this other stuff that came out, it was wrong. And I was wrong. So yeah, he's not the guy. Because again, he's innocent till proven guilty. I'm just going by the information that's already out there. But oh my gosh. I mean, oh my gosh. The amount of coinkydinks with this guy. What do y'all think? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Other than that, I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. Again, I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. Get outside. Hug your family members. Have a great weekend. And I'll see y'all next week for the next video. Love you guys. Bye.